My immediate reaction after seeing the ending was, that's where it ends? My friends and I discussed the movie together afterwards, which was necessary because it goes from a 0 to 100 real fast. Usually it's not a good sign when you have to spend time discussing what happened in particular scenes to understand the intent of a movie. In a romance plot, the movie is about two kids, Vincent and Elise, growing up together in a fictional city. The land is being fought over in a war. The movie actually does not say much about war except war is bad. We are verbally told that the reason for the war is that the land that is being fought over is rich in minerals. The movie isn't focused on war, it is focused on the two characters that grow up together. We see the movie through the memories of Vincent. Overall, I think that the movie does look pretty, and I thought that the fictional town looked nice. I don't have any complaints about the art and the visual effects or the sound effects. It was much better than the traditional anime seasons that we have usually nowadays, which is a good feat to be proud of actually. The voice acting is a bit off.
Why am I here?
Why you smile?
Why am I tonight?
Yeah, why you smile?
Not sure what you're saying.
And the number of frames do drop in some scenes, but that's okay. There are a few jokes that made people laugh and a few scenes that made the audience cheer for our main characters. Overall, it was a decent attempt despite the issues. Unfortunately, I'll have to talk about the plot now. Vincent and his father are glassmakers. At the start of the movie, Vincent talks to his father and we see him remembering his earliest memories that are related. As a child, he was envious of other kids playing together outside and he wanted to make friends. He asked his dad to be schooled like the other kids. He got dismissed by his father, who wanted to raise him and teach at home. His father wanted him to take over their glass store. In the current day, we see him being very successful and talented near the end of the movie. And he has actually never disliked glassmaking, so the scene made a point that parents force their ambitions on their kids without showing the consequences. It was a bit weird. He then goes into his basement to find his old works for his glass exhibition, and a djinn in the form of blue light shines on a particular chest, making him open it. He finds an old letter written by Elise along with a butterfly clip. It is not really clear what the djinn's intent is in the film and why is reading the letter important to him at this time. There is no answer to that, it just is.
My source is that I made it the f*** up.
He opens the letter and we follow his memories with parts of the story being filled in through the narration in the letter. Through the narration in the letter, we see a young Elise finding the glass shop and meeting Vincent. There is an immediate connection. Later, we get to see that Elise is actually the daughter of Colonel Mano who just arrived in the city. The scene establishes the class difference between the two. Vincent is in the crowd that's welcoming Mano, who has a high rank. When the troops arrive, we see everyone including Vincent's father unhappy with the colonel arriving. People's expressions show that they are against war, and a person in the crowd even says it out loud. However, this unhappiness is forgotten later on. Elise is shown to be talented with the violin and would start learning at the academy in the city. This reminds me of a certain show where the main character also bails with a long letter full of feelings. Elise meets Vincent again and the boy tells her about the djinn in the cave nearby. He tells her that djinns can be good or bad, they can turn into animals and sometimes humans as well. Elise asks Vincent if the djinn in the cave is bad and Vincent replies that he wants to know that as well. Don't forget this djinn conversation because that's going to become important later. Another kid called Malik develops a crush on her, which also comes into play later. Some time passes by and the war is making things worse. Vincent's father is now producing kitchenwares rather than fancy art pieces that they used to. Conveniently to the plot, Vincent's father is now seen as a traitor by everyone else in the city due to his anti-war views. This really doesn't make sense. The war made the city poorer. More people should be unhappy now rather than everyone acting patriotic. His father is forced by the colonel to produce glass for the magical power source used in the warships. This is against his wishes to participate in the war. Mano leaves him with no other option by threatening to make him fight in the front lines instead. He agrees to make the glass but demands to get glassworking material as compensation, which Vincent could use to improve his abilities. Materials to make stained glass pieces were hard to come by at this point due to the situation. Some time passes by and the situation now is so dire that Colonel Mano has to go to the front lines directly. He's also taking the younger boys, including Malik. Malik tells Elise about his feelings before leaving and promises to win her over. During her father's absence, Elise and Vincent become closer as time passes on. One day, they are laughing together and some dead soldiers arrive at the train station, signifying that the situation has gotten much worse. At the exact moment, bombs get thrown over the train station by the enemy and they both take cover. They have the silliest argument in this situation. So there are dead bodies around them at this point, and Elise tells Vincent that she's been writing letters to Malik at her father's request. He tells Elise that he would probably marry him as well, and she gets angry over it. She says that she thinks Malik is a brave man for going to war and calls Vincent a coward. Afterwards, the argument suddenly shifts to art for some reason, and Vincent calls her a fake artist for not having any original composition, all while they are taking cover from the bombs. Just before this, she told Vincent that she's never seen a bomb before. Here she should be in shock. Vincent then drops Elise to her home, and I didn't really like how this scene played out. When the bombs were dropped, there was an immediate tense moment as the audience was worried for their safety. But the silly argument shifted the focus from the war and the dead bodies to a will they won't they situation. This argument could have been had before the bomb drop or in a different memory or afterwards, but it's here. The emotions need to be appropriate for the situation. I mean, in the same scene when Vincent drops her at home, she now hears that her father is missing and presumed dead. So that happens at the same time. They weren't really meeting anymore due to the argument, and Elise focused on her music to stay busy. She invites Vincent to her upcoming performance, so he prepares a glass butterfly for her. While going to the event, a kid is guarding the bridge near the building and throws his invitation into the sea, so he's not allowed in. He watches from the outside of the building and couldn't really deliver his gift. Her dad suddenly arrives at the performance wounded, with Malik being the one helping him come back. She kisses Malik on the cheek as she is in debt to him for bringing his father back, and Vincent returns home with a sad look on his face. In the coming days, he makes attempts to communicate with Elise and he's stopped by her mum, so he gives up. He is about to throw the butterfly away, but the jinn stops him or possesses him at this point. At least that's how it seems, because we see the jinn getting close to his head and his eyes lose shine. Vincent stops acting like himself, and it isn't really clear if he is possessed, but regardless, it doesn't really change anything. Now, this is where things pick up pace by 1,000 miles. I'm not summarizing the next part, all of this plays out at the same time. Elise is about to leave the town with her now traumatized father, so she leaves Vincent's father with the goodbye letter that we are reading now. Changed Vincent sabotages the next war glass shipment, and as they are about to deliver the bad shipment, he reveals his plan to his father. His father talks sense into him, and Vincent realizes that his action would have killed many people on their side instead, rather than somehow stopping the war as he wanted. They stop the shipment and Vincent is normal now. All of this happens within 5 minutes. So you wonder what the purpose of the scene was, since it doesn't really change anything. They stopped the shipment. Was this to show that Vincent was angry? But why put in effort to set all of this scene up? Because in the very next scene, Vincent and his father see enemy planes dropping bombs on them. Vincent tries to destroy the shipment box so it doesn't get into the wrong hands. He causes his father's right arm to be amputated accidentally in the process, and in the moment we see the future dad reveal his full body with the missing arm. This scene had zero emotional weight on the audience. That's not my opinion. I'm saying that because the audience was laughing for some reason when they saw the older dad having an empty sleeve. I have no idea why this was funny, but I do understand why they didn't find it impactful. There was so much crammed in the scene. We have the sabotage subplot, and then suddenly bombs are being dropped, and then suddenly he accidentally causes this, so it doesn't really hit when it should have. In the next scene, we see Elise watch the city be bombed from her train ride as she is leaving the city, and she shouts Vincent, and a bomb hits her cabin. The cabin is now on the ground, and this supposed death is given 0.1 millisecond of screen time. Some of my friends didn't even realize what had happened because the scene was given no time at all. We see a successful Vincent in the modern day showing his glass exhibition. Everyone is amazed by his work, and during his speech, we see a blue light reflect into his eyes. This is important because earlier in the story, we see the Jinn trying to help Elise see Vincent. He comes to her performance through the same blue shine. You would think that maybe Elise is alive and the Jinn is trying to show her to him this time, but that's not the case because we see Vincent return home. He's about to burn the letter Elise sent, which ends with, "I will always love you." She realized and wrote in her letter that there is no glory in war, and Vincent was right. He throws the letter into his furnace, but the Jinn stops him through the blue shine again. The Jinn appears by turning into Elise, and Vincent happily grabs her hand. The Jinn as Elise and Vincent hang out together at the same beach near the cave, and she's wearing his butterfly clip. The credits roll. If you're confused and you are thinking, did basement guy miss an important key detail that explains why this happened? Nah, I didn't. The story is just built different. This is exactly why we needed the discussions. It was a kind of discussion where you try to figure out why did this happen that way. And the Jinn's motivation are extremely unclear throughout. Is he bad? Is he good? Is he helpful? Why would he fuel Vincent's delusions? Is the Jinn just Vincent's imaginary friend? That's definitely not the case because Elise hears the noise that the Jinn makes in the cave at the start, and Elise sees a blue shine when Vincent was at her concert. But hold on. In my opinion, it makes the most sense to think of the Jinn as something in his head if we want the story to make sense. The Jinn is Vincent, and he wanted to open the chest as he wanted to relive his memories and wanted Elise to be with her at the exhibition. The Jinn stopped him from throwing the butterfly and shined light in his eyes at the exhibition because Vincent didn't want to throw away the butterfly, and Vincent wanted Elise to be there at the exhibition. The Jinn stopped the letter from burning because Vincent didn't really want it burned. Lastly, since the Jinn is in Vincent's head, it makes sense that he's imagining being with Elise in the end. In my opinion, this makes the ending richer and answers the few questions about the Jinn's motivations.
But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Putting the ending aside, the question that most everyone had is, what was the point though? Some people ask that because they had expectations of a story about war that would delve into that aspect much more or have some action. Personally, I thought that it could have been a good story if a few details were different in how it was told. Throughout the story, we see characters that do not change. Elise liked music at the start. She is still the same person by the end. Now she's tired of war and allegedly dead. Vincent is the same anti-war glassmaker who's now just a little more successful. I would have liked to see Vincent grow and change a little rather than having an ending where he's delusional and dancing with a gin. This ending really is pointless in my opinion, especially because most of the emotional scenes did not hit. A sad tragedy happened for the sake of it and had no lessons to teach except war bad. Overall, the movie had nice visuals but did not leave the impact it could have if the scenes were properly set up and gave a proper time and weight to those moments. With that being said, I would like to see what they make next, as having a 7 out of 10 movie is better than not having anything at all. I think it's a good start and I would love to see more.